All right. Well, good afternoon, Colton. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
You are welcome. I want to introduce you to our friends. This is Colton Grindel. He is a medical student, second year medical student. He is an outdoorsman, a Boy Scout, one that's had many outdoor adventures. And most especially, he's close to me because he's my son. And I invited him here today to talk about ascending the ministry mountain. We've been talking about that in our book, Ascending, Preparing for Your Ministry Mountain. We've been talking about the preparations that are needed, what it means to go up the mountain. And Colton has a really unique experience about ascending a mountain that I wanted him to share with us today. So Colton, would you tell us about that experience?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Mom. Hello, everybody. It is a great pleasure to be able to be a part of this and be able to talk to you. I had a really unique experience in the summer of really August of 2021. I was able to go to Tanzania in Africa to serve on a medical mission trip as a part of a team. And it was a great time. But I got invited to, since we were in Tanzania, to hike and climb Mount Kilimanjaro, which was just a really incredible experience, and got to be a part of that with an intimate group and ascend this very tall mountain.
Very cool. So what did it look like when you were going to go to the top of the mountain? Did you show up that day and you just, on day one, just raced up to the top?
Certainly not. Certainly not. There is a lot that you have to do before you undertake a journey like this. Going in multiple different facets. Part of it is preparing for the equipment that you're going to need. It's a really unique mountain in that you start at about 7,000 or 8,000 feet in the jungle, and you go up to 19,000 feet where there's very little air, very cold, very desolate, and there's a lot of weather and different terrain that you have to travel. And so there's a lot of preparation on that aspect, but also from the physical component, you have to be in somewhat substantial shape. Because you're going up so high, you need to develop your ability to function on less oxygen. And so there's a lot of training and running and kind of getting into shape that went before you even go to Tanzania, before we even went there. There's a lot that you really need to get taken care of before you try to undertake a journey like that.
Yeah, that's cool. So not just the physical endurance, but also increasing your lung capacity, your breathing capacity. That's really cool. That definitely has a powerful implication. Would you tell us the process? So you're there, you've prepared, and now we're going to start ascending this mountain. What was the process of getting to the top?
Sure. So we went on a 7-day trek. It theoretically doesn't take that long. It takes far less than that. But because we have never, I don't think anybody of the four of us who went have ever done a height like that. We've done some Rocky Mountain, some 12 or 13,000, but 19,000 is a whole nother level of altitude. And so because of that, the guides will take you on a prolonged trip. So we start out in the jungle, like I said. We incrementally hiked and camped a little bit higher. And then over the next probably 3 to 4 days, we went across the mountain sideways on purpose to have a path where we were camping about 10,000 feet. And during the day, you would hike up to about 13 or 14,000 feet to expose your body to those conditions, as kind of a stress to the system, so your body can start preparing, going through those changes to be able to acclimate to that altitude. And then at night, we would come back down and sleep and camp back at about 10,000 feet. And this allowed the changes to be happening in your body, but to come back down to a more safe altitude to allow for that to really take effect. So that was kind of the middle of the trip. And then probably the fifth day, the 7 days, is we went up to basically the base of the peak, about 16,000 feet, slept all afternoon, and woke up at midnight on peak day, and basically spent 6 hours in the pitch black at night, hiking up so we could hit the peak at sunrise. So
Mm,
that's kind of about what the process up to the peak looked like.
very cool. And what was your experience in that moment at the top when at sunrise?
There's not one thing you experience. I mean, there's so many layers and different emotions that you experience in that moment because the journey up there, especially once you get above like 17,000 feet, like there's just so little air that you're tired, you're disoriented, you're weak, you're cold. You really don't feel good. But then I remember coming just over this ridge. Really, the hard part was over. The sun was just starting to rise behind us, and the sun was literally starting to shine on the peak. And it's like, wow, we can see it. Like the goal that we've come to attain is now here, and I can see it. And like all of you not feeling good kind of just fades away because you just have this new motivation of like, I can see it. It's attainable. It's right there. Like the dark of the night is over and now the dawn is here and like the hard part's over, like we could see it. And so it was just like another 20 minutes up to the actual peak. And I'm trying to come up with the words to describe it, but it's just indescribable. There's like 360 degrees of just beauty and you're above all of the clouds and it's just a pure sky with the sun that's just rising and you're above it all. And it's just such an amazing experience. It was funny because it was Sunday morning. So we were like praying and we were praising God because some of us didn't think we were going to make it. It's just a blessing that he let us up there. And it was just truly, truly incredible. But the unique thing about the peak that I noticed that was really significant is like there is nothing up there. We started in a jungle. Like there were monkeys going overhead. You could hear them. There's birds. Like there's a lot that's happening. There's a lot of life. But as you ascend, the life can't survive that high. And so you slowly, like the plants start getting shorter, animals start becoming scarce. And by the peak, there's no grass, there's no shrubbery, like there's no life up there. And I just remember for one of the only times in my life, there was no sound other than what we said or made. Like there's just nothing, maybe a little bit of wind, but nothing.
Mm.
And it was just really cool as we were praying to be like, this is like the mountaintop. Like this is where Moses, like he came to a mountaintop to be with God. And there's just a special intimacy there because there's no distraction. There's no sound. There's no activity or events going on. And I just felt like this is just really cool, a really good place to be with God. And we spent some time praying once we reached the peak because like there was nothing hindering your intimacy. Like there's no sound or anything. And so I just felt like that was really, really cool. Because I feel like just in God is always with us and that when we go through normal everyday life, like he's with us and we can talk to him, we can hear from him, but there's a special intimacy about ascending a mountain because that's where you really are locked on him and there's nothing else going on. So really, really just incredible experience.
That's so cool. And what I hear you describing is the majesty of God, the vastness, the beauty, the radiance, words that fall short of what you're actually seeing, in the light and the reflections. I mean, just the majesty of it, the intimacy of it, and just there's no distractions. All the distractions and noises are gone. And it is that close as we can in these bodies on this earth, face to face with God, type of experience. And we know that we can experience that internally by the Spirit. But in the natural, in our physical bodies, that's about as close as we can get. So powerful. So did you stay up there for hours?
No, it's actually very unsafe to do that. Just because of there's just so little air up there. We only stayed up at the peak for about 20 minutes. We made sure that we did what we wanted to do. We took a picture of the sign. We took pictures together. And then it's like, all right, it's time to go back down because your body really can't function very long at that altitude just because there's just so little air.
Yeah. And who was directing that? Who was helping you navigate how long you could stay when you had to go?
The entire trip was led by a guide. We booked a guide service. In the country, it's actually illegal to hike it without a guide service. So you need a guide to traverse this because it is dangerous. They carry emergency oxygen, some other supplies they need if something goes wrong, and they know that mountain. It is their job to know that mountain. They know there's actually multiple paths up to the mountains, so they know all of them. They know, they even monitored our oxygen saturation, our heart rate every night to make sure that we were still doing okay, that our bodies weren't starting to fail, or we were going, into like having not a lot of oxygen. And so they were crucial to that process because even though we had the equipment to be prepared to go on the mountain, they really had to lead the way because we have no idea where we're going. They know, and they know how fast we can go. They know how high we can go, basically, and look at us and assess, like, are you ready to make this journey up to the summit? Or do we need more time to acclimate? And so they were a wealth of knowledge and information. And they were locals, which is how they know that mountain. And so it was great to get to know them and just see their experience on the mountain. Just really cool.
Yeah, that is really cool. That is really cool. And we need a guide. We need a local. We need someone familiar with the path to help us get safely up and down. I love that illustration. So how did you come down? Just to finish the story, to let people know. So what did ascending look like? Did it look the same as ascending?
No. If I can show you, I don't know if this is going to show up, but I actually have a map of Kilimanjaro. You're probably not going to be able to see everything, but just basically we went this way up all the way across and then up to the summit. And then our descent literally just was this right here. It was just a straight line.
Wow.
And so we spent like 5 or 6 days going across this mountain, spending this time to acclimate. And then once we were done, we took this beeline straight down, and we probably descended from 19,000 feet to about 7,000 feet. So 12,000 feet. We did that in about 10 hours. Like, it was just very quick down. And obviously from a body standpoint, the quicker you can go down, the better, because you're going back down to more air and more oxygen. And so that was kind of the guide's main concern. It's like, we don't want to stay at this peak. Let's go. And we're just going to go down. Mm-hmm. So it only took about 10 hours, what it took 6 days to do going up.
Yeah, that's really cool. What an amazing experience. And I remember when you came back and told me the story about this experience and the way that you ascended and descended was just so interesting. Feels just like so much spiritual application in that. But there was one part that really stood out to me as well, and it was the locals. When you described the locals. So when the locals go up, do they have to go through the same process?
No, this is their livelihood. And so the way they provide for their families, the way they make an income is either by being a guide and leading these, or by being Sherpas, essentially. They just carry food and tents and sleeping bags. They just carry some water because there's none of that up there. That's their job. Their job is to weekly, they're going up and down this mountain to bring supplies and to be a support to these people who have booked a trip up this mountain. And so that beeline trail that I told you about, I've heard the locals will hike from the bottom to the top of Kilimanjaro in 10 to 14 hours. What it takes 7 days, for someone who's not there, not acclimatized, not used to the mountain. I mean, they go because their bodies are acclimatized. They're used to going through those changes, and they know the path. Like I said, just like the guides, like it's their livelihood and their job to know that mountain. Mm-hmm. And so they go up and down, and they do it just fine. So that makes you as someone who's not there, you're like, man, why can't I be keeping up these guys? They're just going.
Wow. And they were carrying supplies too, right?
They're carrying 40, 50 pounds on their head. Yeah. I mean, it's incredible.
Incredible. So cool.
Yeah.
I love the visual of the guides coming along to help you know the path to reach the mountaintop, that there is so much preparation to know the way there. But that when it's your home territory, when it's familiar territory, when you've been up and down the mountain, you know the path, you know the way, and you can go up and down more frequently, bringing others with you, encouraging others, helping them be able to have that experience. So I think there's some really cool applications for us in our class and our conversations around ascending and descending the ministry mountain. It's not meant to be a one time. Your experience to Mount Kilimanjaro probably is once in a lifetime experience, but
Probably.
for many people it would be, but ascending the mountain of the Lord is for us not just once, not just to have that one time experience, but just to be able to ascend and descend, encounter him and bring that back and bring others with us in that. So I had one other question I just wanted to ask you about. So in the book, when ascending, preparing for your ministry mountain, we talk about the verse in Psalm 24. It's verses 3 and 4. It says, "Who may ascend the mountain of the Lord? Who may stand in his holy place? The one who has clean hands and a pure heart, who does not trust in an idol or swear by a false god." How do you see that verse, ascending the mountain of the Lord, the one who has clean hands and a pure heart? How do you see that applying to that experience that you had?
Mm, it's a really good question. I think it transfers that's very, very similar in coming before the Lord, that there is a right process that needs to happen before you can do this. For Kilimanjaro, is you really need to make sure that your body can handle a lot. You need to make sure that you have endurance, like you said, that ability to carry a lot of oxygen out to your body is really good, because it's going to be stressed. It's going to be put to the test. And so your body needs that capacity, along with having that right equipment, being prepared for what's to come. And I see that transferring over to our process with the Lord, that, God is very clear in the Old Testament, in the Jewish law. If you're going to go into the Holy of Holies, if you're going to offer a sacrifice, there is a right way that you need to do it, because you're coming before the presence of God, where there can be no imperfection at all. And so, not to say that we can be perfect, because we can't, but it's Christ who makes us perfect. But having a clean hand and pure heart, that if you're going before God to get something, if you're going so that you may increase, if you're going for any other reason other than to be with God, which is his desire, then you are not going to make the journey, or you're going to seriously struggle. And so I really love that person. It really is special, because that is the heart of God. Of when you come before him, it's special that we have this ability, but there is a right way to do it. And you need to have the right preparation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so good. I love that illustration. So good. I think for me in the application as well, I see the majesty of God and, just a taste on this earth that you experienced of how big and majestic he is, that,
Yeah.
People would think, well, I'm going to tell God this, or I'm going to tell God that. You get to that mountaintop and you're not there very long, and you're overcome by the atmosphere. You're overcome. Like your physical body can't handle it. It's a taste
Right.
of the presence. Like, apart from his spirit in us, we would not be able to be in his presence at all.
Right.
And even then, in these bodies, it's overwhelming. For those who have had a taste or experience of really encountering the presence of God, it can just be overwhelming. Like, it's too much. It's too much. So I love this illustration, gives a taste, and a very relatable experience to that. So thank you so much for being here and sharing your experience. And we just wish you all the best in your classes and look forward to what God has for you.